Last week was a typical week for me. It was Saturday and I was at home in my apartment getting ready to take some photos for my various social media platforms, chloejonsson.com, OnlyFans, Instagram, you name it, I've got it. So I've got my Sony a6500 set up over here. I've got my ring light set up over here. I've got something super casual on, or perhaps a little less than casual, but I'm feeling myself. And I bring that confidence and that sensuality and that royalty that I know I am and that I know I have, and I bring it right to the front. It's at the camera. A couple days later, I'm editing my photos and I'm going through them, and I've got 58,000 followers. So I'm trying to find the gold in these photos, right? Because I want that engagement with my people. And I find them and I get them edited and I post them. A couple hours later, I'm scrolling through Instagram. I want to see those accolades. I'm not going to lie. It's social media. I want to know what people have to say. And scrolling, and I get to it. Nice rack for a dude. And taken back. It's 1986, Silicon Valley, Carleton Elementary School, kindergarten. Now, little boy presenting Chloe is sitting in her desk with her acid wash jeans on, blue t-shirt, and those iconic 80s Reebok high tops. They're super squishy. They came like every color. I borrowed my mom's. I loved them. And I'm sitting there at my desk and I have my doll on my desk. And Sally's over here and she has a doll on her desk. And Tommy's over here. I think he has like a Jack in the Box, on his desk. It's show and tell. And all of a sudden I hear it behind me. It's Cameron Radnich. Brown hair, perfect smile, super athletic for a 6-year-old, but still super athletic. And I can hear him. Are you a girl? Only girls play with dolls. You must be a sissy. I was really confused. This was the first time in my entire existence, my whole 6 years, that someone else was imposing their views on me, telling me that what they thought about me was wrong. And I'd never experienced this before, so I got really hot. And I felt like my skin was tingling, kind of like it was on fire. And I felt the heat coming down from my head, like I was sweating. I didn't really know what to do with the information, but it was my turn to share. So I just got up and shared anyway. And I stood in the front of the class, clutching my doll, Dee Dee, the black rocker Barbie doll. And she had the biggest hair, the raddest outfit, and she was simply just fabulous. And I loved her because she was fabulous. And I told the kids why I loved her. And I sat down, finished my share, and the other kids continued to do their shares. And then it was recess. We went out to recess, and this is the first time I noticed that things were a little bit different for me. There was sort of a divide between me and the boys. And little Hennessy Xander came up to me, quiet Hennessy with the straight bangs and the sundress and those amazing lace top socks that I always wanted. And she came up to me and she let me know that we were going to be friends. And from that day forward, Hennessy Xander and I were the best of friends. And that friendship allowed me to know who I was and to not ignore it and to continue to be myself. And so I did. I joined theater groups. I joined the color guard, drill team. I did all of the things that I love. And then we're in 1994, still in Silicon Valley, Lee High School, freshman year. This is the school where fag is written across my locker. It's first year French, and I'm sitting in the way, way back of the room. Mike Cherry is sitting to my right. Perfect smile, brown hair, super athletic, and I in the back. Class is ending. Time is coming. And I know that bell is going to ring. The bell that I hated to my core. Because that bell signified that I had 3 to 5 minutes to get from class A to class B as quickly as possible with as little damage as possible. But the bell still rang and class ended and we had to leave. And I was the second to last to leave that class. And as I walked out, Cameron Radnich, hey, fag. And then another Cameron, what's up, queer? And then a third Cameron. And I put my head down and I tried to walk forward, but I couldn't, and I was surrounded. And then I felt it, and I felt it again, and this was new, and they were actually throwing rocks at me. And I froze, and I couldn't move, and they were on all sides of me. And then I heard something that I'd never heard before, and it was behind me, and it was Mike Cherry confronting the Camerons and stopping them from bullying me. And I'd never experienced a guy standing up for me before. And Mike Cherry got me to safety. He got me out of that situation. And my heart skipped a beat, went pitter patter. I'm definitely sure a crush was developed at that moment. My knight in shining armor, but he got me out of that situation. And I had a little bit of time to think. And it was going over in my head, all the things I knew. I knew who I was, and I couldn't ignore it, but I could not be myself in that environment. And so I left that school and I walked past the locker that said fag on it for the last time, and I walked home. A week later, Dennis and Linda Schrader, my parents, loving parents, weren't making me go back to school, but they needed to know what was going on, why I didn't want to go back to school. So they called a family meeting. I had never had a family meeting before. I didn't know what a family meeting was, except that it sounded so official. I wanted nothing to do with it. But the conversation had to be had. So we sit down at our dining room table, and my mom, Linda, still rocking her iconic 80s hair, the short with the swoop over, sitting across from me. Now it's salt and peppered. My dad sitting to her left with his salt and pepper beard. And they're sitting there across from me, asking me why I didn't want to go back to school. And I'd never said anything to my parents ever about being bullied. So we're sitting at the kitchen table, and the table seemed to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the chair I was sitting in, this hard, creaky, cold wooden chair, seemed to get larger and larger, like I was the incredible shrinking woman, just getting smaller. And my head was down, and I was playing with the grain on the table. I could feel the notches in the wood. And they're asking me, and I look up. I've been bullied. I've been bullied ever since kindergarten, every day, every free moment. And last week they threw rocks at me, and I can't go back there. And so my parents, being who they are, started to shower me with love. And out of nowhere, I don't know where it came from, but from inside of my throat shouted, "I'm also a girl." A month prior, I hadn't even known that, but I was watching some quality television, some Geraldo Rivera, and there was men that had become women on this show. Now, I can't remember if they were drag queens or transvestites or cross-dressers, but what I do remember is that it put an answer to a problem that was going on inside of me. That you could be outwardly someone else, but inwardly know who you are. And so what my parents did, they got up from that table, they showered me with love. They got me out of that high school. They got me into a new school for performing arts. And they got me set on the transition to becoming Chloe full time. Because these were the people that taught me to know who I was and to not ignore it and to continue to be myself. We are in 2013. I am part of this phenomenally amazing athletic club. I love it. I've been in it for a couple years. I'm super fit. I'm feeling it. You know, when you're scrolling through Instagram and you come across that girl and she's super tan, little tiny booty shorts, little tiny top, over the top annoying. That was me. I'm owning it. Completely me. Still me. But I loved it. I loved every moment of being in that athletic club. And I wanted to go to the next level. So I sent some anonymous correspondence just to see what it would take for me to get to the next level. A little bit of back and forth, and they asked me to please identify myself because they need to know certain information. And I figured I had transitioned when I was 15. I had gender confirmation surgery eons ago, and my birth certificate said female. What could possibly be an issue? So I identified myself. I sent them all of this information. And within an hour, I got an answer. And in big, bold letters, it said, you must compete as the gender you were born as. So if you don't know what that means is you must compete as a man. And I didn't really know what to do with this information. I didn't know how to process it. To my core, I was a woman. I couldn't fathom that. So I contacted this professional. I contacted that professional. 2 opinions isn't enough. I contacted a third professional. And then I made some decisions. And things were quiet for a while. And I kind of just sat on that. And I was doing my workouts one day, and I always recorded my workouts because I wanted to see how I looked when I worked out. Posted it to the Instagram. And I picked up my phone when I was done working out, and there was 150 text messages on my phone. And I think I am very popular, but I do not think I am that popular. So I knew instantly that something was going on. And I got super hot, and I felt like my skin was on fire, and I started to sweat, and I was like, Jesus, what is this? So I opened that text message, the first text message, and I click the link, and the link takes me to an article, and the article says, Chloie Jonsson, transgender athlete. Chloie Jonsson, transgender. So even though I had come out to my friends and family over 15 years before this, I'm now being publicly outed, not just to my community, but to the entire interwebs, the entire world, that I am a trans woman. And I've been outed because the Cameron Radniches couldn't handle me trying to break in to their little boys club. They couldn't handle the fact that I was different than things that they were used to. And they were trying to tell me that I was wrong. But what happened is Hennessy Xander came over and she took my phone. And she went through those messages for me because there were hundreds, if not thousands, of messages in there from the Cameron Radniches telling me that I was subhuman, that I shouldn't be alive, that I shouldn't exist, that I was disgusting. So she took those all away from me. But what also was in there was all of the messages from the Hennessy Xanders and the Mike Cherries and the Linda and Dennis Schraders, my parents. There was hundreds, if not thousands, of those messages in there, right? So what happened is all of those people came together to let me know who I was. And it was at that moment that I knew who I was, that I'd never ignored it. And that I'm a human being, a trans woman, an activist, and forever will be Chloe.